You are now watching The Beach.
Wow! Nintendo! Have you lost your damn mind? What is going on? As I'm sure all of us are aware, Nintendo just had their long-awaited September Nintendo Direct for this year. We haven't gotten a general Direct since April for the Nintendo Switch 2 itself. And to say the least, this was certainly a Nintendo Direct. It had a lot of things that were completely unexpected, some things that were just completely insane. There's a lot to talk about. So without further ado, here are my thoughts on the September 2025 Nintendo Direct. Starting things off, we got the information we wanted to hear. Nintendo is indeed celebrating the Super Mario Bros. 40th anniversary. They've tended to celebrate every Super Mario Bros. Anniversary since the 20th back in 2005, so it was a long time coming. But the thing is, let's take a look at some of the announcement. So the first announcement that we got is a confirmation of the Super Mario Galaxy movie. The fact that they're already going to Super Mario Galaxy is pretty damn ambitious, but the thing is, they didn't really reveal a lot about the movie. We got a teaser trailer where there was a butterfly, then we saw a Luma at the end, but not much about the movie itself to really tell what it's about. The thing is, I'm glad Nintendo didn't drag on news about the Super Mario Galaxy movie in the Nintendo Direct. They could have done more though, because I didn't really get a good idea of what this movie is even about, but regardless, I'm still very excited for it. The craziest part of all though, is that the Super Mario Galaxy movie was indeed leaked by Old Spice. There was promotional artwork released, and the thing is, it looked super fake, but no, it's actually real. On the Old Spice bottle with Luigi, there's a Toasteranian, so we're also going to see some Super Mario Odyssey influence in the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which the prospect of is very exciting. But I'm here for the game announcements. What big game does Nintendo have for Super Mario Bros. 40th anniversary? Well, we all predicted that Nintendo would do something like Super Mario 3D All-Stars Nintendo Switch 2 Edition with Super Mario Galaxy 2. They kinda did that, but they also kinda didn't, because instead, we're getting Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2. What this is a compilation very similar to that of Pikmin 1 and 2. They are pretty much direct ports of the Wii games, but upscaled, and there's some additional content. Rosalina's storybook is now going to be in Super Mario Galaxy 2. There are also going to be new pages. All of this makes so much sense. The Super Mario Galaxy movie is releasing pretty soon, and it makes sense to have games to promote the movie. But the thing is, I'm concerned this will be another low-effort project like Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Yes, Super Mario 3D All-Stars is a collection of 3 amazing games, but the whole presentation is just so lifeless. It feels like it was thrown together within a few months, and unfortunately I'm expecting the same for Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2. But regardless, we're finally getting Super Mario Galaxy 2's return. It's the second best 3D Mario game, and I'll always die on this hill. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is better than Super Mario Galaxy. Yeah, I know that Super Mario Galaxy has an atmosphere and Rosalina's story, but now Super Mario Galaxy 2 is gonna have Rosalina's story, and it just has better level design, it's more creative, it's got Yoshi. Another cool thing is that this is also going to be on the Nintendo Switch. I'm wondering if there are any enhancements on the Nintendo Switch too, but regardless, it also doesn't appear to be limited time only. I have my concerns about whether or not the presentation of the game will be lifeless like Super Mario 3D All-Stars. I'm really hoping that there's concept art, even though I'm not expecting it, but I still consider it a win. Also, with that last storybook page, I'm pretty convinced that the next 3D Mario game might actually be Super Mario Galaxy 3. Nintendo has never done direct sequels like that before on different systems for 3D Mario games, but considering the Super Mario Galaxy movie and the new storybook pages, it's sorta hinting at it. But with Nintendo, you never can know. Then we get into the new games. We're getting a new Mario sports game, and you know how much I've been loving those on the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, I became emo because of them. Yeah, at first I thought it was gonna be a new Mario baseball, but instead, it's a new Mario tennis game. I thought that it'd be a better idea to go directly to baseball since we didn't get that on the Nintendo Switch. But truthfully speaking, it has been a while since Mario Tennis Aces. It's been a little over 7 years, so we were due for a new entry. The thing is, I'll say this with all Mario sports games until they prove themselves, this does look like it could be good, but until it releases, I'm gonna be very cautious about it. The story mode where they all turn into babies, that actually looks really cool and it's creative. Baby Waluigi! That right there is pretty exciting. But knowing that it's a Mario sports game, it could have problems with content, but they did announce 38 characters that really highlighted the modes. Maybe they learned from the disasters that were the Mario sports games on the Nintendo Switch. Though I will say, Mario Tennis Aces also looked incredible when it was announced, and then it turned out to be an underwhelming game. So I'm pretty cautiously optimistic there, but I have more hope for it than I did for something like Mario Strikers Battle League. The next announcement is something that pretty much all of us were expecting, and that's that Super Mario Bros. Wonder is getting a Nintendo Switch 2 edition. First thing that struck me as odd, and really the only thing, the talking flower already has a different voice. I know we got the different voice in Super Mario Party Jamboree plus Jamboree TV, but within the same game, that's a little weird. But now let's just talk about the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 edition itself. They really highlighted the multiplayer modes. If you played Super Mario Bros. Wonder, there is co-op multiplayer and there's a little online mode, but it doesn't have the variety of multiplayer modes that games like New Super Mario Bros. Wii had. And with this update, it appears to be introducing a lot of new multiplayer modes. That right there is a big improvement. But not only that, Nintendo also listened to other criticisms of Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I thought Super Mario Bros. Wonder was an amazing game, but if I'm being honest, I thought it was a little too short. But it seems that there are new levels, and the Koopalings are back! Yes, after a long absence, the Koopalings have finally returned. There's been a lot of criticism about the boss fights in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, but the thing is, I'm just so excited to see the Koopalings back. I just became a member of the Roy Koopa experience, and this right here, this is what we've been waiting for. There are also some new amiibos for Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2, and there's a talking flower figurine. Those look super cool. I'm just wondering, what will the price of the talking flower be? If the amiibos are $30 though, it's gonna be a harder sell. It's no longer a hobby where you can just mindlessly buy an amiibo. They've gotten to the point where they're so expensive that you'll really only buy the ones you want, or just not buy them at all. Look at those Street Fighter amiibos collecting dust. The main event of the Super Mario Bros. 40th anniversary is the Super Mario Galaxy movie. But in terms of games, the final announcement was a new Yoshi game. That's another series that we were overdue for a new entry. The last one was Yoshi's Crafted World in 2019. That right there is a pretty polarizing game. I'm personally a huge fan of it. I thought it was a great game that was very creative with the 2D, 3D approach where you can go into the background. And I thought it was great outside of the music. With this new Yoshi game though, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, the art style's cool. With the gameplay, it seems a little empty. I really need to see more of it before coming to a final conclusion. But it's not exactly a game that blew me away. I initially thought based on the trailer we were getting our first 3D Yoshi game, and to be honest, seeing it just be a 2D platformer, a little bit disappointing. But regardless, still an interesting announcement, and I'm definitely going to check out the game. I'm just not quite impressed by it yet. Then we get into Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. It looks great. It's weird that no Nintendo Switch 2 edition was announced though. The gameplay itself looks great. It looks like a continuation of the original Tomodachi Life. Pretty much exactly what everyone wanted. But I will say, the presentation could look a lot better on the Nintendo Switch 2. Just with the frame rate boost, resolution boost, that's all it needs, but I am very excited for the game. It's releasing in spring 2026, which, by the way, a lot of these announcements were a little bit far off. Like with the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 edition, that's releasing in spring of next year, which is quite a ways off. That's something I would have expected like in November of this year. Still really odd. I don't understand what Nintendo is doing sometimes. Then we got some announcements for new amiibo for Kirby Air Riders. They look super cool, but I have the same concern with the pricing. $30 is just too much for one amiibo, although in this case, there's actually a gimmick where you can swap riders, so that's really cool. I like that even if the amiibos are more expensive, Nintendo's at least going over the top with them and they're really interesting. Just look at the Donkey Kong Bananza amiibo. Then we also got the confirmation that Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment is not delayed. It's coming this year in November. I thought that this game and another game I'll be talking about were pretty much certainly going to get delayed. But no, they're still reaching their 2025 release date. Now we get into Nintendo's craziest moment. When I started off this video, this is a big part of what I was referring to. We're getting a new system on Nintendo Switch Online for the Nintendo Classics line. And I looked at the trailer, I was thinking, okay, it's probably DS, maybe Wii. It's freaking Virtual Boy! Nintendo's actually bringing back Virtual Boy games. And I gotta say, as a proud member of not just the Roy Koopa experience, but the Virtual Boy fan club, this is something I always wanted to see that I never thought would happen. There was a little hint towards it because Nintendo developed a Virtual Boy emulator for the Nintendo Museum, but oh my goodness, actually seeing it is surreal. The Virtual Boy library is quite underrated. Yes, the system was a colossal failure, and it has a lot of problems, but a lot of the games are really cool, and seeing them actually preserved, that is a great thing. However, there is a caveat. It appears that you need to use a headset in order to play the Virtual Boy games. With Virtual Boy games, a lot of them benefit a lot from the 3D, but having the option to play them in 2D, let's say you just want to play on the TV, it doesn't appear that's going to be an option, which is a real shame, because Virtual Boy Wario Land, that is a game you don't even need 3D for, and it's what I consider to be the best Wario Land game of all time. So, with this requiring an accessory, it seems like it won't get the reach that Virtual Boy games really need. I also wonder, how much is this Virtual Boy replica gonna be? This is something I absolutely want to get, but I'm worried it'll be crazy expensive. That's the thing with Nintendo nowadays. After the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct back in April, there's always a concern about the pricing. Regardless of my concerns with Virtual Boy Nintendo Classics, this is what you call a hype announcement. This is why I love Nintendo. They will do things that are completely unexpected and just absolutely crazy, and I'm all for it. I've noticed a general theme throughout the Nintendo Switch 2 era that Nintendo's taking a lot of risks. Taking a look at Mario Kart World, it's a very different kind of Mario Kart game, and rather than a big 3D Mario game to kick off the system, we got a big 3D Donkey Kong game instead. And I am all for it. It's even more risky and experimental than the GameCube era. Virtual Boy Nintendo Classics pretty much sealed the deal that the Nintendo Switch 2 era is going to be crazy. You know what else is crazy? Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is actually releasing this year. I was pretty much certain that it would get delayed. Nintendo has been awfully quiet about it, and despite playing it at the Nintendo Switch 2 experience and the game feeling competent and almost ready for release, there was a lot of silence about it. But no, it's releasing this year and it's also releasing in December. I believe the amiibos are releasing before. You can clearly tell that Nintendo was waiting until the last possible second to release Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. They were thinking in their minds about a delay, but miraculously, it's still coming this year. You know what else I wasn't expecting? Donkey Kong Bananza DLC? Nintendo doesn't really do DLC that much anymore for a lot of their single-player games. We didn't get it for Super Mario Odyssey, and I wasn't really expecting it for Donkey Kong Bananza, but the minute they announced that DLC, I was super hyped. Bananza has more than enough content on its own, but seeing DK Isle return and new missions, new story with Void Kong, all of this is super cool. Really just any excuse to play Donkey Kong Bananza again, I'm all for it. I will be playing it pretty much immediately after I finish this video. I've been planning a full-on Trash or Treasure episode for Donkey Kong Bananza, and the problem is, July and August there was a lot, life got in the way, but now, Now is the perfect opportunity. So expect Treasure Treasure Donkey Kong Bananza this month. Then we get into a Pokemon Farming Simulator? Yeah, it wouldn't be a Nintendo Direct without a farming sim. Pokemon Pokopia. You play as a character who's a human ditto, and then you farm raise Pokemon. It makes sense. The idea itself makes sense, but visually. This is a Nintendo Switch 2 game? How? I understand it with the mainline games because Game Freak is incompetent, but with the spin-offs? What? It also happened with Detective Pikachu Returns. Really, man, at this rate, just please, have the next Pokemon game be New Pokemon Snap 2. Then we got more information on Pokemon Legends Zaza, more Mega Evolutions. I played the game at PAX West and I'll be doing my first impression, so I want to save my full thoughts on the game for that. But wow. Still, I think the game visually looks terrible. Gameplay though is a little more promising. Although I can promise you one thing, I'm never calling that game Pokemon Legends ZA. It's always going to be Pokemon Legends Zaza. Before getting into the final announcement, the announcement of Donkey Kong Bananza getting DLC, I was very excited about it. But the game that desperately needs DLC, the game that needs love and care and attention, Mario Kart World, it got nothing. What is Nintendo doing with Mario Kart World? They released it launching with the Nintendo Switch 2. They've done absolutely nothing with it other than make changes that most of the players absolutely despise. What is Nintendo on? Really? We were all expecting some Mario Kart World DLC. Just something like new characters or costumes. But I have no idea what Nintendo is doing with that game. So the final announcement, a new Fire Emblem game. For Fire Emblem fans, I'm sure it's very exciting. I will say I'm not too big into Fire Emblem. The game looks good. It's just something that doesn't really excite me as a final announcement. And didn't we get a Fire Emblem game only 2 years ago? It's not like a long overdue series like Luigi's Mansion or Animal Crossing returning. With the April Nintendo Direct for the Nintendo Switch 2, ending things with Donkey Kong Bonanza, that is a one more thing. But with Fire Emblem, it's like, kinda underwhelming. So that about wraps it up for Nintendo's Nintendo Direct where they lost their damn mind. So overall, how would I rate this Nintendo Direct? Here are the highlights for me. Starting off with the best announcement, Virtual Boy coming to Nintendo Classics. Even if it's required to use the headset, just seeing Virtual Boy come back in such an insane way, I am all for it. Then we got the Donkey Kong Bananza DLC. More Donkey Kong Bonanza I am all for, and I am so excited to go back to the game. Then, Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2. Yes, they're probably just going to be direct ports, it's cool there's some quality of life features, but come on, Super Mario Galaxy 2 is coming back. It's hard not to be excited. And I will say Mario Tennis Fever and Yoshi and the Mysterious Book do look promising. I really just want to see more of them. Super Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, that would easily be in my top 3. That's something I also really want to see more of. It's a little bit far out, which is why I'm a little less hyped for it than something like the Donkey Kong Bonanza DLC, which is releasing today. But regardless, still a really cool announcement. And just a confirmation that none of the games got delayed. That's pretty great. But unfortunately, there just weren't any heavy hitters when it came to announcements. Yes, we got the announcement of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, but Nintendo just released their most anticipated console, I would say of all time. We haven't really gotten those major heavy hitters. Since Donkey Kong Bonanza, yes, Kirby Air Riders is really cool, but it's a sort of niche game that doesn't have the mass appeal of something like Luigi's Mansion or Animal Crossing. I was expecting we'd get at least one of those games announced. I wasn't expecting a 3D Mario game since we just got Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I feel that they're releasing Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2, not just to promote the movie, but to hold us over for what is likely going to be Super Mario Galaxy 3. But as a Nintendo YouTuber, I've been watching Nintendo closely. It doesn't seem like there's as much interest in Nintendo as there was in the early 2020s. I just feel that Nintendo doesn't have that many big heavy hitters to look forward to. And until they start announcing them, I feel the hype for the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be pretty moderate. It's definitely going to be higher now than it was before since we actually got new game announcements. But regardless, as a Nintendo YouTuber, I'm still a bit concerned about the future of Nintendo and interest in Nintendo. Because if you make content about Nintendo, that's something you gotta keep in mind. But overall, I'd give this Nintendo Direct a 7 out of 10. It wasn't the best Nintendo Direct. It definitely could have ended on a much more exciting note. It definitely could have had more exciting announcements overall. But regardless, I'm all here for the insane announcements like Virtual Boy coming to Nintendo Classics. And you know full well I will be getting that dedicated Virtual Boy headset. I also wonder, should I have taken points off because this Nintendo Direct had 0 announcements for AI slop brain rot games? Where was Tung Tung Sahur in this Nintendo Direct? Where was Tralalero Tralala? But until then, what did you think of the Nintendo Direct? Special shout out to Super Squirrel Studios, Reese, Ultra Bomber 64, FastFan07, Generic Rust, Cullen Wickham, Paper Brothers, Marcus TZB, Glitzy Terra Mevins, and the Ender Kirby for being such awesome channel members. You can get a shout out at the end of the video too, if you become a channel member. Anyways, thanks for watching, and keep calm and da-da on.